again, folks. Another nice dry day. I've done my painting of kitchen units this morning. That's quite enough of that, so we're off on the road. Sort out the cravat. The audio was a bit muffled on the last video, but you know, gotta keep warm. So just a bit of a reconnaissance really, see how the weather's panning out over Eryri, the mountains of Eryri. It looks okay. Might head out towards a favourite destination of mine, pick up a surprise little gift, and it is a little gift for the kids they can take away to university next time they're home for half term. I'm sure they'll like it. Well, I'll give you a preview when we get home. I'm just going to pull up at the side here for a minute. Sort myself out with the audio. Right, switching the front here for a park for a second. Now then. Okay, now I should have things sorted out. Right, a nice learner driver and his instructor let me in there, which is kind of handy. And hopefully the audio is a little bit better for you. Quite surprised the roads aren't completely dry. It's been dry day yesterday and dry overnight as far as I can tell. The road's just a little bit tacky on the right hand carriageway here, or the right hand lane I should say. So there you go, quick as a flash we're back behind the truck again. Alright, here we go. Hoping to get a bit of a walk in today as well, so need a bit of exercise. I haven't had a lot recently, what between doing DIY missions and all the rest of it, so I had a fair few bikes out this morning, or this afternoon I should say. Had a quick check of the tyre pressures as I do every week, and all was okay there. crossover. As we do live on an island, it doesn't really feel like it quite often, but as soon as the two bridges are out of action, you certainly know it then. And traffic's back up a lot now since we had the Holyhead Harbour back in action after the harbour was damaged in Storm Dara. There's a fair few more lorries around. Nice and clear today. So we'll cross over and then you can join me again when I've moved a little bit further on. Try not to make these videos too incredibly long. They do end up being at least half an hour, if not an hour. So some people like just sitting down and letting it run in the background, I suppose, and others like to have a bit more of a dynamic sort of video and lose patience. But there you go. Horses for courses. Behind, there go the Wombles, driving up and down here all day long for very little benefit really. It must cost us a fortune, but there you go. Bureaucracy for you. Oh, the tide just ebbing. Quite a high tide today. Got a new moon. It was Lunar New Year yesterday, so I guess that means the Lunar New Year starts with the new moon, so the sun and the moon pulling together on the tide gives you a big spring tide. I think that was the police lying in wait there. Some intelligence on somebody, no doubt. Now then, which way do we go today? Let's go through the mountains. White van man, no, he's quite careful, don't play. Alright, let's tail him. Okay. There we go. Welcome back. We've just left Bethesda and the roads get a little bit more interesting as we head up through Nant Francon and then into Dyffryn Ogwen. A little bit cloudy in the mountains, but that's pretty par for the course. And yeah, roads are not bad. A little bit of moisture here and there. Some of the one lane can be half wet and half dry in places, but yeah, overall it's not too bad. Got to be careful. There's an awful lot of lorry traffic well along this road, but coming out of the slate quarry, so you do quite often get very large and very long diesel spills. So regular viewers will know that that's really the only one thing that one kind of is afraid of on a bike, really. Never tell when you come across it. You can smell it usually, by which time it might be too late. But yeah, there we go. Well, you know, all part and parcel of the game. So yeah, a little bit of snow still up on the Eryri. And into Tullty, or Devil's Kitchen as the Englishers will know it. Oh, we've got an ice warning, would you believe? It's only been about 6 degrees, although surprisingly I didn't have to use the heated grips at all for the first 15 minutes. I just realised they were off really and put them on just because, but yeah, I kind of feel I need it now. I can feel it's gone much colder. I suppose it's kind of useful that the bike tells you that ice is a risk. It would probably be more useful if it told me the actual temperature, but I can understand why it's programmed that way. The roads are pretty dry, so I'll have to be careful here as we make our way through the slopey groundy bits where water comes down fairly constantly, even though it hasn't rained for a while. Looks alright though. Still going ice at me crazily. There you go. That usually means it's around about 4 or something like that. So yeah, leave a comment about time we started engaging, whether you go out in winter at all, whether you go out in colder weather, whether your routes take you, as mine do, from fairly warm lowland places up into mountainous areas that can be freezing cold. I suppose if you live in Scotland, that's a very distinct possibility. Be interested to know what kind of routes you follow and what kind of driving you do or riding you do. Not really a great day for going walking. Might have to revise that idea. Oh, not very flowy today. Some days you flow through these things, but let's have a look. No, the water's free flowing. It's not frozen at all. Quite often see aircraft hurtling down here at low level. See any at the moment, but they come fairly regularly, daily usually. Yeah, a little bit of vestigial snow. And there's infamous Travan, where I give my usual and regular instruction in pronunciation. Travan, not Travan or Truffan or Trivan or something like this. Just Travan. There you go. If I don't do it, who is going to? Just over 3,000 feet at the top. And as easy or a harder climb as you want it to be, really. Just pick your route accordingly. Yeah, quiet around here today, actually, not a lot of traffic. Post-Christmas extended holiday makers seem to have finally gone back to work, or empty car parks. Now there's a novelty. There we go, somebody's been up high with an ice axe on her back. Be careful with ice axes. They tend to stow them with their pointy end upwards in a rucksack, which makes them a great lightning attractor. And you never really know when you might get a lightning strike or two, even when there's no real organised thunderstorm in the mountains. There was one just a couple of days ago, in fact. Very large lightning strike. Out of the blue. I remember reading a story in magazines where people with their ice axes, they can hear them starting to sing as the charge builds up under a charged cloud, and as soon as you sense that that's happening, you have to essentially fall on your knees and put your hands on your head and your elbows on your knees, because it means that you're at very high and imminent risk of being hit by lightning. And by taking that posture, if you are hit, then at least the current's going to bypass your heart, it's going to go through your arms and into your legs and to ground. It gives you the best chance of surviving it. Not something you want to try voluntarily, but you know, you could quite easily find yourself in that situation. So here we go, just going past 1,000 foot mark, and beginning our descent now. It really is quite cold up here. It must be about freezing up here now. Another friend on a big bike there. engrossed in his mobile phone, as is the way of the modern world. Today's media obsessed with reports of two kids, and therefore absolutely reliable statistics, no doubt. Kids in a certain class somewhere are so engrossed in their screens that they don't know how to use a book, and they can't support themselves upright on a carpet. It's the kind of thing that makes the Daily Mail very busy and very angry. But you know, two kids. As James O'Brien says, the plural of anecdote is not data. So we take it with a very large pinch of salt. I was listening to a song, incidentally. It's turning to Welsh radio. My son will be pleased, as will my daughter. About Cwm Colyd, which is just on my left here. I think it's the Wales' deepest lake. It's about 60 metres deep, I think. The reservoir, in fact, now. Quite a happy little song on the Welsh radio about Cwm Colyd. I'll have to dig that one out, actually, on YouTube. Maybe I'll give a link to you. So a while since I listened to Welsh radio. The music's improved quite considerably. I'm glad to say that the youngsters that I come into contact with are quite active in listening to Welsh music, and my son's girlfriend, who's from London and is a singer in a band, as well as studying at university, mathematics and music. Hello Estelle, big hello to you from cold North Wales. Sure to see you again soon. Yeah, she sings in Welsh and is even learning Welsh, so good on her. A lot better than the alternative, which is to take this antagonistic view of Welsh, which we won't have here, but there we go. Here's another happy friend on the corner. Oh, well, I wish I could make use of the heat from this engine. In the summer you can certainly feel it, in winter not really. Reasonably protected from the cold wind, but not especially. So could do with some ducting, like my old ex-army Norwegian Land Rover had. Big sort of stainless steel ducting from a fan that operated from the cooling system, kept you very warm in Arctic conditions. Could do with something like that here. I'm sure they have it on something like a BMW. No such luck on the Kawasaki, I'm afraid. So there we go. Turn off down towards Eryri down there. But, we're going the other way today. Heading for Welsh-themed. So join me a little bit later on when there's a bit more interest. No doubt one will be on the road to Welsh-themed. A bit of a bad join in the tarmac there. So catch up with me again in a minute. Okay, welcome back everybody. I delayed putting the camera on because the sun was in directly into the lens, so not so much fun for you as a viewer. So we're on the Welsh-themed to Welsh-themed road. I can never remember its number. I have no idea why. I've been going up and down it for years and years, well, decades in fact. But there you go. So I thought I'd do a quick review of the Versus 1000 for you whilst I'm on the way here. Had the bike now since the end of April, so around about 9 months or so. can I fault it? No, I can't on any ground at all, except of course for the weight when you want to move it around a little bit. But that's not something that's peculiar to the Versys. That's just the product of having a very large engine. So I really can't fault it. You want to keep back, mate. This white car behind me doesn't know how to keep his distance, and you have to ask him to ever so politely keep his distance, which he instantly does. So yeah, back to the Versys. No, I can't fault it at all. It's very comfortable as bikes go. None of them are especially comfortable, but this one is more than acceptable. You can do a whole day on it really without getting any aches and pains. Nice to stretch the legs, obviously, because you have to. I'm 6'2" after all, and that's this is one of the few bikes that fit me comfortably without sorry, just concentrating on the guy behind who's obviously now decided that he's going to be obstinate instead of responsive. Yeah, one of the few bikes that fits me comfortably. So it's got all the power you need. I don't drive along at a silly rate, as you've undoubtedly noticed, but a good rate. And when you need the power to overtake and get definitively past something, or get yourself out of a developing situation, then you just twist and go, and there's no delay, even in 6th gear. The panniers, which of course are add-ons for a lot of us, are very expensive, £1,000, but again nothing particular to the Versys. And I mean, you could put a helmet in all of them, but they could be a little bit better designed, it has to be said. But yeah, certainly not something you're gonna not buy a Versys for. I'd say it's the ideal bike in all sorts of ways. It kind of looks good, it rides well, got more than reasonable fuel economy. I've got about 56 miles per gallon out of it, which, you know, compared to a car isn't terribly good really, is it? But considering there's infinitely less mass to lump around, but you know, it's not bad at all. Lights are good. Protection from oncoming wind is excellent, and well, that's pretty much all I can tell you about it really. There just isn't anything bad at all. So I'd heartily recommend, if you're thinking of buying one or you're not sure between the Versys and something else. The Suzuki V-Strom was in my list of 2 at the time last year. This one happened to come up, but I'm pretty sure this was the best bike to go for anyway, not just because it was available, but and the price was, you know, okay. I mean, they're very expensive for what they are, aren't they? But they are what they are, and building up the mileage nicely. Up to about just gone over about 5,000 miles on the clock, so I've done about 4,200 since last April. So, you know, it gets used quite regularly, every sort of nice day really. A peculiarity of the insurance is when I was inquiring about insurance with was it GoSure, isn't it? BikeSure, sorry. Is that they were quite surprised when I gave them the estimate of 7,000 miles in a year. They said, oh, going on a big European tour, are you? They said, well, no, I'm just going to be riding my bike. I live in the countryside, and yeah, things are far apart. So I think, as it turns out, I'm not going to be far off 7,000 miles. I may even, depending on how the weather pans out, have to throttle back the days out a little bit, but that's okay. Certainly won't be paying any more. It was about £500 for me. Oh dear, we got a real tailgater. This is a 20-mile-an-hour area. Okay, so yeah, £500 for the year, which for somebody who, at the time, I hadn't done a whole year. I'd cancelled the insurance I'd had. That was my first year after 30 years out of the saddle. I think we'll probably edit that bit out, but yeah. Overtaking on a blind corner. That may go to the police, or it may not do. We'll see. An assessment of just how ridiculous that overtake was. I only send the videos in if it's egregious. So yeah, after 30 years in the saddle, it was £123 for the CB500 by some mystery. But for this 1000cc, it was £500 a year. So, you know, not bad. I didn't have any no claims at all built up, because it's vehicle specific, of course, for no claims. So this year I'll have a year's no claim, hopefully. Going well at the moment anyway. And we'll see if it's going to come down at all. I don't know, of course the bike insurance has been going up quite a lot for unexplained reasons. A bit of a campaign and a petition to Parliament, I think, to look into the reasons for that. Oh, they've been cutting trees since the last time I came here. Oh, loads of trees gone. So yeah, so that's it. The bike versus, great, go for it. Go buy yourself one, you won't be disappointed, that's for sure. I haven't had a single problem with it apart from the battery, but that was because it hadn't been on maintenance charge, I think, over a cold period. So well, that's obviously not anything to do with the bike. Yeah, so they've been cutting some trees down, and along here, big forest. Not quite sure if that's because of disease. There's all sorts of diseases doing the round in forestry now. And so they get these instructions from the authorities to cut them down as soon as a disease is detected, and down they come. We had a bit of ash dieback locally to me on Anglesey recently, so I've been chopping a few of those down. Oh, it's a bit cold, got the ice warning up again. Oh, even at 70% on the heated grips, it's still a bit cold. But there we go, we've made it up the Crimea, as usual on this bike, as though it doesn't exist. Try coming up it in any car, you know, there's a bit of a struggle really. So. Oh, I reckon it must be about freezing up here. I'm not quite sure what the height is. Well in excess of 1,000 feet, I think. And just coming up to the high point, and then we'll begin our descent into Blaenau Festiniog. Have a little visit to the gift shop. Been advertising some stuff on Facebook. Not really a Facebook user, but it's kind of handy for keeping in contact with across communities. Otherwise you don't really know what's going on these days. Yeah, it sounds a bit weak for the moment, but it's clear behind, so we should be going home to the accompaniment of some sunshine. That's a bit brighter than this, hopefully. Yeah, it's nice and dry though. Picking up a bit of salt and spits and spots from the road, but on the visor, but and there we go, into the 40 of Blaenau Festiniog. Minden Norley Blaenau Festiniog. A song I'd never heard of until my son brought it home on his iPhone. I don't suppose I can sing too much of it, otherwise I'll get a copyright strike or something. I don't know. You know, these things work. I doubt very much that the algorithm understands Welsh. It usually doesn't. It's a very useful way to get past algorithms, for example on eBay, that won't allow you to communicate with sellers, for example. But if you put things in Welsh, it has absolutely no idea what you're doing and lets it sail on through, and that's kind of handy, really. There we go. There used to be a very nice slate arch bridge with only a very small amount of it left. I'll put a quick picture in the video there for you. There's a little pylon left. A nice, lovely multi-arch bridge over here. Long since gone now. I guess the 1960s, something like that. Possibly even the 70s. And the vast slate waste tips. The sad fact of slate quarrying is that about 95% of the rock you dig up is waste. So you've got entire mountains of slate waste. So the shop we're going to is called Shop y Gloddfa, or the quarry shop. It's got all sorts of specialist Welsh gifts. Let's see what we can pick up today. Just round this corner. Getting a bit cold actually, so it's just a nice time to have a bit of a break. If I'm not in Blaenau once a week, there's something very wrong. Pull up to the side of the road here in a second. There we go. There it is. Shop y Gloddfa, which is thankfully open. It's a long way to come without checking it was open, isn't it, really? But there we go. Okay, see you later, folks. There you go, the bikes are out today. And that was Blaenau Festiniog. Quick, very quick visit today actually. No point hanging around, it's a bit miserable, a bit cloudy. We'll head back to where the sun shines. I got a nice gift. I'll show you what that is in the insets in a second. Keep the kids happy, certainly. And even gave myself a little gift as well. That was Blaenau Festiniog. Zip well there, many of you will have been there, of course. That's the baby version. Doesn't last very long, but still quite popular. Lots of salt down in this area. I suppose I might have expected it, but yeah, that'll be another jet wash when we get back home. Back up the Crimea. And that spoil on the left hand side here is was for digging a vent for the railway tunnel beneath. There are at least two, I think. railway still very much active. It's a main line, no, a main gauge as it were, full gauge to up the Conwy Valley to Llandudno, and despite getting flooded over the years, it survived the chop. Oh no, rain! Or possibly even snow. Right, well, we could outrun that possibly, but what can you do? It's winter. It looks a bit like snow actually. Might have to run up the Conwy Valley at this rate. But there you go. We got what we wanted. There were warnings of some showers later in the afternoon. But look up the Conwy Valley, which we're looking up now, where the sun's shining. Glorious up there. We'll see what happens on the other side of Moel Siabod, which is the hill here, just beginning to disappear in the rain. So if you're in the area of Blaenau Ffestiniog, pop into Siop y Gloddfa. It's just on your left as you come out off the little narrow gauge steam train if you're coming up from Porthmadog. Great shop, all sorts of things in there, and actually for all you railway buffs, there are two beautiful model steam trains in there, in cases. One's in bare brass and the other one is fully painted up in livery. They're really worth having a look at. Maybe in a future date I'll take some videos for you, but it's certainly worth going in there if you're a railway buff. And of course supporting the local economy a bit, local shops. Difficult for everybody now, so maybe pick up a mug or a coaster or something a bit more substantial. All sorts in there, all worth having a look. Very friendly lady as well. Here's another friend. Give him a bit of a peek there. Around the corner we come.